Hold on.
Man, I should have grabbed my braille display. You done hit it already?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. Welcome to the Parker Daniels Show. I'll soon be changing the name, so I'm gonna let y'all know off the rip. I haven't decided what I'm gonna change it to, but the motto is still going to be the same. Where we make changes, no excuses. I would like to send a shout out to my co-host from RCG, otherwise known as Rose Colored Glasses, Nicole, and my partners in crime, Kenyatta from She's Blind, and Zephyrin from Comedian See No Evil. You can find them on YouTube. Now the topic, life after high school, a visually impaired person's story. Today we are speaking with Christy. She graduated from Louisiana School for the Visually Impaired a year ago. Christy will be speaking on the challenges that she has faced thus far after graduating. Just a sidebar, this subject sort of hits home for me because I thought after high school, everything would be smooth sailing, but to the contrary, I was faced with a rude awakening. As a visually impaired person, Christy is going to bring us her version of how things have been for her. She is 19 years old. She's from Louisiana. She has been visually impaired since birth, and her vision acuity, if I'm saying that right, is 2200. And she is currently going to school to be a massage therapist. So without any more delay, I would like to welcome to the show a great friend of mine, Christy. How you doing, Christy?
I'm doing okay.
Can you speak up a little louder? How you doing, Christy?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. How was your fourth?
It was pretty good. Got a lot of rest.
Really? Rest from those classes and stuff, huh?
I cooked.
Okay, what'd you cook?
Barbecue chicken in the oven.
Seems like everybody cooks barbecue chicken during these times. I wonder. I was speaking to someone earlier today. I wonder who was responsible for making barbecue a dish for the 4th of July. You know, because do you have any idea? Because you read a lot. Do you have any idea? Because everybody's.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know, maybe a Southern thing. I mean, I think it was originally in the Southern.
Oh,
area.
That's what it was. Okay. Well,
maybe. I don't know.
Well, we'll find out later on. Maybe I need to Google that. Christy, tell everybody how you lost your sight or what caused it, or what caused you to become visually impaired, if you may expound on it.
Well, my eye condition is congenital, so I was born with it. It was a genetic eye disorder, and it's in the class of retinal degenerative diseases. So that's how I lost my sight. I was born blind, but as I got older, my vision gradually increased. Now I have 2200. But I have what I call good eye days, bad eye days. And to basically explain what I see, it is pretty much a bootleg movie. I get the details, but I don't get the details. So I can see mostly everything, but I don't see all the details. Like I can see faces, but not facial expressions. I can read print, or I can know that it's there and not be able to read it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me because that was going to be one of the questions that I wanted to ask you when you mentioned you have a vision of acuity of 2200.
Right.
How far can you see? Is there a distance that you can see?
If I had to guess, probably no more than 10 feet.
Okay. So you have to put like books and things like that close up to your
No, I usually don't have to put books close up to me, but I can't see like traffic signals and things like that.
Okay. Are you the only one in your family member who has a vision loss?
To my knowledge, I had a great aunt that has some type of visual impairment, some type of eye condition, and she had nystagmus and a couple other things. And she was blind, but they said she was a really mean lady. But that's because they didn't let her get out and do anything. Back then, if you had any type of disability or anything, you were sheltered in the house and you weren't allowed to go to school and allowed to live a fulfilling life.
Okay, and that would make you angry. I mean,
Yeah.
to get out, definitely.
So
Now,
I
with
know I
your
would be pretty angry if that was my situation.
so would I. Now, with your slight vision loss, has that affected you in becoming an independent person?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not at all. There are definitely things that we obviously can't do as visually impaired people, like driving. But when there's a will, there's a way. There's definitely assistive technology for a reason. There's different methods to get things done, and yeah, I just let my hands be my eyes in the situations where needed.
Okay, well, I mean, we have a little time. Explain a little bit about some of the things that you do as an independent person, or some of the things that you do in your travel and what have you, or just aside from other people who may just be a house body, person who just want to stay at home. You're
Right.
not that person. Explain to us and the audience what kind of things that you do to make you independent.
Well, as far as transportation, I use Lyft, Uber. Here in Lafayette, there is paratransit. I use that sometimes. It's not always reliable, so Lyft and Uber are typically my main sources in transportation. Some days I don't necessarily need to travel with my cane, but I do because I feel a little bit more comfortable and safe with it. So I use that. But it's mostly helpful and beneficial for me for like stairs and drop offs and things of that nature because my central vision is not that great. As far as household things, I just use tactile labels to label certain things. As far as sweeping and things like that, that sweeping is a struggle, but I try to vacuum as much as I can.
Oh,
Or
okay.
if I need help with something, I use an app called Be My Eyes, and it's pretty much a video chatting app where I can get assistance from volunteers.
Okay. You need to check my video out that I did on sweeping. That may help out you sweeping and whatnot. So whenever we finish this, if you have time, you go back to the Parker Daniel Show and check out that video. That can also help you. Are you from? I know this off the cuff, and we're gonna get to what we need to, but we have a little time. For those who are just joining us or joining us later on, I am speaking with Christy, and she's going to be talking to us about her journey and her hardships that she's faced in terms of after school, after graduating, and we're going to hear her story as we progress. But I just want to get a little background information from her. You mentioned something called Be My Eyes. I had done an interview with a young lady a minute ago named Brittany, and she was asking about the different methods of us actually getting around. And I brought up something called, I can't slip on my, but the glasses, Ira, are you familiar with that?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, I the reason I want to ask because I was going to have you give a little insight into what that actually is, but that's another story. You say that you use a cane. Why did you choose to use a cane as opposed to getting a guide dog?
One, the responsibility. I'm not completely against guide dogs, and maybe in the future I may change my mind as to getting one. But for now, definitely the responsibility as well as the attention. I feel like you get a lot of extra unnecessary attention in public when you have a guide dog. I mean, when you're visually impaired, you're always watched and looked at anyway, but it is definitely a different level. And I'm speaking from uh experiencing that from other people around me that do have guide dogs. They just get a lot more attention, and
Okay.
that's not what I want.
Okay. You like to be low key, though.
Yeah, I rather, you know,
Okay.
I'm outgoing and I try to be social, but sometimes people just overdo it when you have like a guide dog or something.
Okay. Now, moving forward, you went to the school for the visually impaired, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tell everyone, the people who are here or later, those who would come, how it was socially, academically, and leisurely in terms of, what did you do after school? Give us a little insight into that.
I would say the biggest plus about going to a school for the visually impaired in general is accommodations. They know what you need. They know how to better assist you and make sure that you're successful academically. And if you feel left out, I don't see why, unless you're completely antisocial. But as far as feeling a part of anything and feeling included and getting your accommodations, that's definitely, no, nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
As far as social life, uh LSVI for me was like a gated community. So it's like my biggest problem was not getting out and socializing and interacting with the public, which also interfered with getting real world experience and getting to know, what to expect once you leave here, what this is going to be like, what that is going to be like. And over the years, a lot of things changed. They cracked down on a lot of things, and implemented a lot of rules, some that I particularly found ridiculous, especially relating to, like I said, real world experience. So that's how that goes socially. You pretty much stuck around the same people all the time. Um, Leisurely, like I said, back relating back to feeling a part and just being able to get involved with things and not have to worry about, being discriminated against or being excluded or whatever the case may be. Um, like your visual impairment or whatever was that had nothing to do with you as a person in the community like that. So that was the great part. I was a part of band, choir, drumline, powerlifting, track. I was in student government a couple years. I was the mascot
Okay.
twice, and I got first place
Okay.
at Scasby. So just
Now,
being able to experience that was great.
did they have any other sports like wrestling, cheerleading? Because when I
They
went to,
did have wrestling and cheerleading. Mascot is a part of the cheerleading team, so I was, I guess you could say, on the cheerleading team.
okay.
Um, Wrestling, we didn't have a girls wrestling team. But we did have a guys wrestling team, and the girl coach didn't want to coach wrestling, so that's why we didn't have a girls wrestling team. And we would only had like 2 or 3 wrestlers. So
That sort of brings back memories. I mean, I know the school has changed as far as the location, but
definitely,
I was at the
everything has changed
school,
about the
yeah,
place.
the government street location. Now, in your humble opinion or honest opinion, do you think it's better for if a person is visually impaired to go specifically strictly to all visually impaired or all blind school, or is it best for them to actually mainstream so they can get the feel of the real world?
I think it's very. I'm a strong believer in foundation in every aspect of life, as far as training, skills, relationships, everything. You have to have your foundation. So I think that visually impaired schools are a great place to get foundation and to get the skills you need, like Braille, cane travel, technology, all of those things. And it's a great resource, like a great main resource.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if a visually impaired or blind student is capable of managing their grades and academics and social life and everything in a public school setting, um, I think that it's definitely more beneficial as it relates to social skills and just trying to get in and be a part of the normal community, or what's considered normal, because there is no such thing as normal. We're all, unique, and we're individuals. But as far as interacting with people that are perfectly sighted or have other disabilities or whatnot, I think it's definitely beneficial to go to public school. And I've had my share of both, and they do have their downfalls and their, you know, good things and bad things. But I think it's beneficial as far as it relates to social skills and just being in the real world, because you got to realize you're not going to be surrounded by blind and visually impaired people, and it's not going to be, specifically geared to the blind community. That's just not how the real world works, and that's
That's true.
not how society is.
That's true. Well spoken, Christy. And you're 19 years old?
Yeah.
Wow, you are well spoken. That again sort of brings back memories, because I was mainstream in the 5th and 6th grade, and also in 11th and 12th. And I definitely recommend, if anyone has the opportunity to be mainstream into a public school setting, definitely take the chance, because as you mentioned earlier, the world is not all visually impaired, all blind. There's a mixture of everyone. I think that we should be a part of that as well. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the dreams that you set while in high school, or when you graduated, have you been able to start on that journey, or have there been any roadblocks? And if there are,
Absolutely. I would say my biggest goal was to move out, and I know a lot of people, had their opinions on that decision, family wise, and just friends of the family, and some of my friends. But that was my biggest thing, to move out and get on my own, because I felt like my family's definitely very supportive, but they're also very overprotective, and I felt like that would have hindered my independence and my next steps towards education or whatever I decided to do, because they were very, like I said, overprotective.
well, are you on your own now, or are you still staying with your
Yeah.
parents?
Nope. I've moved to a whole nother city.
Okay. And how has it been for you?
Um, there has been some hard days, some challenging days, but overall, I'm happy. I feel like I can. I feel like I am at the point where I can start finding more out about myself and discovering who I am as a person, what I do and don't like.
Okay.
I've learned a lot of lessons. I've learned how to say no to a lot of things. Because growing up, it's like, as a kid, you don't really get to say so too much. But now that I'm on my own, I realized I have to say so to everything, and it can be overwhelming, but I think it's worth it.
Okay. Well, on this show, I like to get down to the bottom without just just kind of passing over it. So be specific in terms of the things the hardships or the roadblocks that you have had to encounter, so that people will know. Because there are going to be a lot of other people who are going to view this, youngsters who are thinking of getting out, and I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna do this, but that's not really thinking that there may be some obstacles that they're going to face. So just specifically tell them about a few of them.
I've learned my biggest lesson has been a fast move is a bad move. So what I mean by that is, you can't just make decisions in the moment and, expect everything to work out. In some cases it does, and in some cases it does not. I took a summer course at UL. For those that don't know, that is University of Louisiana, here in Lafayette. And I liked it. I got to a place I became complacent. Everything went smooth. I passed the course. I thought, hey, they're gonna meet my accommodations here. I'm not gonna have anything to worry about. I know plenty of other visually impaired people that came here, were successful, got their degrees, whatever. So after that, and after I finished my transitioning training, pretty much out of high school into, normal adulthood, pretty much basic training. I was like, I really like Lafayette. I don't want to move back home. And I had already had it set on my mind that I didn't want to move home, but I didn't have it set on my mind that I wanted to move here. So I started looking around for apartments, found an apartment. I moved here. I started full-time at UL. First of all, they accepted my application late, so that threw me back course-wise. So I had to pretty much play catch-up, which was, for one, not fair for me, and it was double work, double trouble. And I ended up not getting my accommodations met as I thought I would. I had to purchase a textbook and provide proof of purchase so that I could get the digital copy. I never received it, and that's a long story. But point is, back to what I was saying, a fast move is a bad move. After going through all that, in October, I started getting sick a lot just because of stress. I stopped going to class, which was a bad idea. But I ended up having to write a letter to get my classes retroactively dropped so that they could be cleared off of my transcript and I wouldn't have failing grades. Thankfully, I'm a great writer. So that wasn't a big deal for me. And a lot of people, they hear the word essay and they, go crazy. And I'm like, all right, that's just another opportunity for me to let the wheels in my brain spin until I piece things together to write whatever I need to write. So I wrote that letter. I got everything approved. And then I realized, university setting isn't for me right now. It was too many people. That is a very big college. I love people to death, but crowds are just not my thing.
Okay.
And that again relates back to getting to know me. As I grew up, I didn't have the opportunity to realize that I didn't like crowds. I didn't have the opportunity to, I didn't get to go tour colleges and realize I would really like this setting or I would really dislike this setting.
Right.
So, it all connects at the end. So I decided I didn't want to go to college. Then I was like, no, I can't. I gotta go to college. I moved down here to go to college. And then after I decided university, isn't for me right now, I learned to stop caring about everybody else's opinions. And I learned to stop caring about what they thought was best for me, because what other people think is best for you is not always the case.
That's true.
So I woke up one morning and decided I want to be a massage therapist. I looked up schools for massage therapy, and the only school that came up was Unitech. So I went and took a tour of the school. They did my interview for the school, like to start school the same day. And it was pretty much like it was almost a hug, embracing hug that you can't escape. So I ended up starting there, and it was the perfect setting. I was used to a small setting. I went to LSVI for almost 10 years. And over the years, it shrank. The school, the population was just, it went from, it was over 100 students for sure when I first came. And it's definitely no more than 70 now. So major change. So the smaller setting was like perfect, and I've found a lot of success in that. It's considered a technical school, so it's definitely not the college setting, and I'm pleased with the decision I've made concerning that. But connecting all of it back to a fast move is a bad move. I didn't think it through when I decided I want to go to UL full time. But it was a learning experience, and the biggest lesson I took from that is, look into things before you just up and make a decision.
Okay. So you definitely, you're more apt to work better in a smaller setting.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Well, were there any other dreams or any goals that you had after high school that you want to accomplish?
I definitely still want to work on my music. I do. I write music. I produce music. I play 4 instruments. I play drums, saxophone, guitar, and piano. So I definitely want to still work at perfecting my music skills, and eventually I do want to produce music. But I have so many things going on. I'm just trying to take one thing at a time.
Okay.
And once I start working and providing a better income, I think I'll be able to, get on those ideas and really make some things happen.
Now, in short, do you think as a visually impaired person that it's harder to facilitate whatever goals or dreams that you have, considering the obstacles that most of us have to go through, or is it just the decisions that some of us make? Because I definitely can answer that, but I want you to.
I definitely think that there's always 2 sides to a coin, and as far as it being harder, sometimes yes, it can be more difficult. It could be more challenging. It may take more steps. It may take more effort. But again, if there's a will, there's a way. Anything is possible, and I think people with any disability, not just visual impairment, we are just, I guess by default expected to go the extra mile, and that is the case most of the time. So I think yes, it is a little harder sometimes, but that's just simply because we always will have to go the extra mile, whether it's simply to just do something if the tools are there, or if it's to get the tools then get it done, or it's to fight to get the tools, then you get the tools, then get it done. You know what I'm saying? Like that we just have to work harder either way it goes. And as far as decisions, yeah, sometimes we can make decisions, but guess what? We're human, just like anybody else. So, we're gonna have our mess ups, we're gonna have our downfalls. But as far as just, oh, well, it's harder because I'm blind, that's not the case. It's just you have to put out more effort.
That's a great point. Great point. So, I mean, and while you were talking, that again brought me back to when I said in the opening that I definitely thought I graduated valedictorian of my class, and I was expecting a whole bunch after I graduated and went to LSU and all this other stuff, but I was again faced with a rude awakening, because there were some obstacles I had to face, and some of them were some of the things that you definitely mentioned, and I'm glad you were here to clarify. So, in closing, as we conclude, which I really don't want to, but I don't want to bore the people, but this is some good information. What kind of advice, or do you have anything that you can share with not only just the visually impaired or the totally blind community, but everyone who who's getting ready to graduate high school, what they basically can sort of expect, that you've gone through, that you can basically put them up on game, so to speak?
Number one, I would definitely say you will, if you haven't already, find out who your real friends are. If you have a support system, be appreciative of it. Let the people that are supporting you know that you're grateful, and just extend your gratitude. After graduating, it is definitely a time in your life where you're going to be faced with challenges. You're going to be faced with, I didn't know this about myself, or is this really me? You're gonna have a lot of questions, a lot of concerns. Some things may be confusing. Some things you may get 100% confirmation of, things that you already know or things that you already thought. But it's okay. That's perfectly normal. The biggest thing the thing to start, I guess, to say building upon is resilience, and know that if you do fall, as long as you're alive, there's always potential to bounce back and just get back up on your feet and try again. Because it's never too late. So I think that's my biggest advice. Just don't give up. Don't stop. Believe in yourself. And if nobody else sees what's in you that is in you, because we all have something in us that makes us different and gives us purpose, then just believe in yourself and just keep the negative vibes, the negative energy, the negative people, the people that that don't need to be there, just keep them away.
Okay.
Because that will help you get to wherever you're going. And if everybody has a destination. If you have to take alternative routes, do so, because it'll be worth it.
Wow, that's a mouthful. So what's next for Christy after you graduated from the massage school in October, November?
I graduated in October.
What's next for you?
I have to take the NBLEX, which is the national certification. Once I pass that, which I know I will, I plan to get employed and start working on my next goal, which is hopefully stenography, which is court reporting. That's what I was originally supposed to do. And that goes back to resilience and just being flexible. You have to, if something don't work out, you got to go to the next plan.
Okay. Well, I really feel that you're going to achieve those because you're very well spoken, articulate. You know exactly what direction you want to go in. I hope everyone take that particular advice and use it. And I'm glad to have you on here because I want to share this story because, as I mentioned, this could definitely help out a lot of youngsters getting ready to graduate from high school, visually impaired, and letting them know that there are going to be some challenges, even more so than they expected. But definitely take that advice that you've given them and move forward and whatnot. So with that being said, I want to thank you for coming. I want to also thank my subscribers. I want to also continue to tell you all to support this show, the Parker Daniel Show. And as I mentioned, I will soon change the name. I don't know, maybe you all can help me out. You got a name for me, Chris, that I can probably change it to? I'll
let you know if I come up with one.
Okay, that'll be cool. And again, to my co-host, Nicole from Rose Colored Glasses, I want to send a shout out to my family. I want to send a shout out to my friends. Send a shout out to Kenyatta, to Your Canadian Blind Girl, to Blind Grilling, to the Blind Guys Show. Those are the people that are on my list. They support me. That's what I can think of right now. Kenyatta from She's Blind. Zephyrin, comedian, See No Evil, and continue to support all of us in our endeavors. And with that being said, you have any last words before we leave this live setting?
I know you mentioned as far as challenges go with people graduating high school. I want to say there's also a lot of excitement as well. So don't be overwhelmed with the challenges, because there'll be just as much happy days as sad days, and every day isn't rainbow and lollipops. But man, life is what you make it, and you only get one, so enjoy it, and don't stress about the challenges, because everything won't be a challenge.
Okay, well, Christy, I hope to have you on here soon, and maybe get you to give me one of those massages, because after doing this so much, you need a tension relief. So
yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So I appreciate it, and if there's anything else that I can do for you, feel free to hit me up. So with that being said, y'all, thanks for attending the live, and I'm out. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Let me see something. Gotta see this. Hold on. Listen. I think that's it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get off here and I'm gonna give you a call, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Whoa, 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 whoa.